Welcome to my tutorial for Target Renegade for the NES. And this game took me around 1 hour 53 minutes to beat. It can be pretty challenging because of some of the bullshit. It's very difficult to pick up health items, for example. And some of the control is pretty janky. Mainly for this game we're going to be using sweep kicks, as you see here, which is just down and the first button, B. I actually set the controller that I have to turbo, so I can just kind of hold down and hold the button, B button down, and do them rapidly. But sometimes I'll do some extra moves, so I got to be careful with that. But down and B will do your sweep kicks, and then for these guys you want to use up and B to do the jump kicks. You have to time it right. The best way to do it is when they're on the same plane as you. So if you try to hit them when they're coming diagonally on the motorcycle, it's very, very hard to actually hit them because there's a huge delay in your animation. When you do a jump kick, there's a really long delay that's probably a few frames long. So you want to do it a little bit early, and you want the motorcycle guys to be lined up to you on the same plane. And as far as picking up the hearts, you have to get over them and press down and A to pick them up, but you got to be perfectly lined up with them, so that may take some practice. I missed the health pickups quite a few times because they go away after a few seconds. So that's one of the big pain in the ass of the game, is that you a lot of times don't get the health items that you need. So the game will give you back half of your health after you beat a stage, but you don't even get a full health replenishment, and you only have 2 lives to beat the game. If you lose 1 life, if your health bar's depleted, then you'll go out to the continue screen, and when you continue, you'll be on your final life. So there's only 1 life per continue, so 2 lives total. So for this guy, you want to get your positioning just right, and after he attacks, he's going to walk forward, and that's when you're going to kick. So you have to get the rhythm right on that. But you'll see after he either kicks or throws a tire, he walks forward a little bit, and that's when you're going to kick him when he's within range. So you got to get the timing down on that, and you're going to fight that guy 2 times throughout the course of the game. This game does recycle bosses. So you really want to use save states on an emulator so you can practice all the specific sections. That's what I did first. I posted up my practice run, which took me about 1 hour and 3 minutes of practice. And what I did was I made save states on any parts that I thought might give me trouble. So I would make save states on bosses and certain difficult sections with the enemies, and really learn how to route everything so that when I do my full legit playthrough, I know what to do. And that's what I do with most of these types of games that have limited lives and continues. I practice section by section. So I'll keep reloading the save right before the boss fight, and I'll beat the boss like 3 times in a row or something like that, just to make sure I have it down, and that does help a lot. So I recommend doing that. These enemies are very irritating because whenever they pick something up, it's really irritating how the attacks work. They'll wait for you to attack the other enemy, and then they'll throw the shit at you. Or if you try to hit them while they're holding something, you always get hit. So the best thing to do with enemies that have projectiles like knives or anything that they can throw is to just keep moving up and down, and maybe pause for a brief moment and then move back up and down, and it will kind of lure them to throw the item and miss. If you can, you want to grab the item and throw it off screen too so they can't get it. I don't use weapons aside from trying to get rid of them and throw them off the screen. But one thing that happens with any kind of weapon in this game is that enemies will magnetate to wherever that weapon is. So you can use it to kind of group them together as they'll keep trying to pick up the item again and again. So you can just kind of position yourself so that you can attack them when they try to get the weapon. So same boss fight again. You see, you got to get your positioning exactly right and your timing. You see how much damage you take from a single hit. You die very fast in this game from a few hits, especially from the bosses. So you really got to get all your positioning and timing right when it comes down to the boss fights. There's also some really difficult, enemy arrangements and things like that take a little practice to route out. And that's why it took me close to 2 hours to beat the game, even with a practice run. I got it on my third attempt, I believe. Yeah, I actually beat it on my 3rd attempt. So I had 2 failed attempts at trying to beat the game after I did a practice run through the whole game. It's also good to count how many hits each enemy takes, because they always take the same amount of hits when it's a certain enemy type. You also want to count how many hits they take before they fall down. Some enemies will fall down in 2 hits, and then get back up again, and then you hit them 2 more times and they die. So there's different things like that to memorize, because if you know how many hits an enemy takes, you'll be ready with your next attack when the enemy tries to sandwich you. That's the most dangerous thing in the game, is the enemies will try to pin you between both enemies. If you're sandwiched in the middle, that's when you can get comboed to death really easily, and sometimes you can't break out, you'll just die. So even though it's a short game, it can be dangerous if you don't manage the crowds correctly. It is kind of a janky game, but it's definitely not the worst I've played for these kind of beat-em-ups. It's passable. It's not really good, but for an NES, beat-em-up, it's passable. It's not the worst thing, but it's kind of janky. One thing about those guys with the baseball bats is that a lot of times health items will be hidden inside the baseball bat. I think I get one out of the baseball bat, so it is good sometimes to check by doing your pickup motion. If you grab the bat, it's not a problem. You can hold the bat, and then the enemy won't be able to get it. And then you don't have to use the bat. You can still do your trip kicks while holding the bat. That's what I do. So that is another thing you can do with some with some weapons. You can hold them even if you don't use them. I didn't practice using the weapons. I didn't even try the weapons out. This was the method I went with. I saw a video and it looked effective. I got most of my ideas for this game from a video, and that's why I decided to victimize this game. It looked like it wouldn't be too bad. It was the 229th NES game on the kill list, including Japanese and European games. I group all those into the same category on my spreadsheet, my kill list. So for this guy, he's the most annoying boss for me, because you have to use your short-range punch, which is a really shitty move. So it forces you to wait for him to attack, get in close, punch him, and retreat, but you got to get your spacing right, which is a bit of a pain in the ass. I mean, it's not the hardest thing, but he just takes so many fucking hits, so it's just kind of annoying. I don't think I died a hell of a lot on the guy, but you see how much fucking damage he does if you get hit. It's very easy to get hit, in this game. So, luckily the game's only 20-something minutes, or 18 minutes, maybe even a little less. I think I used up a continue, so that it did increase my time, because as I was mentioning earlier, I didn't finish what I was saying. When you do lose a life, you go out to the continue screen, and when you continue, you start at the beginning of whatever stage you were on, but you get full health back for that. But see, when you beat a stage, you only get half of your health back. So if you were down to your last little bit of health, you're not going to have a full health bar. You can see I don't have a full health bar starting this stage. But yeah, for that boss, it's pretty much just punch and retreat, just keep repeating that. It's still kind of a pain in the ass because of your short-range punch. It's irritating, but you got to get the rhythm and timing down, so you may have to practice that a little bit. See how hard it is to pick up those healing items? I got it on the second pickup, but a lot of times I try picking it up 4 times and I can't get it. It's an exact positioning. If you can do it every time, you'll get it, but it's kind of anal. Now, for this part, I just move up and down until all the knives are thrown. You'll see if the enemy has a knife in its hand by the way the sprite looks. Yeah, see, they all had knives. So one of them didn't have a knife, I think, but most of them have knives. So make sure that you keep moving up and down, and be aware that there's going to be a knife guy that comes out of the back of the screen after you kill a few of them, and he's going to throw a knife immediately, and you will take massive damage if you get hit by any of the knives. So what you want to do is you got to memorize that part, practice it with saves, but move up and down. That way they throw out all their knives. Then you can fight them as we've been normally fighting them, with the trip kicks. But the thing is, when you see an enemy coming up towards your ass, it's time to move, because you will get comboed to death very easily if you wait too long. I mean, you'll get an idea for how long you can wait, but you got to be very careful with that. You don't want to fuck around too long if the enemies, if the enemies are getting too close, then just walk around and try to get better positioning. Sometimes you can kind of get a choke point type of position where the enemies will keep coming to your position and getting hit, which I show a little bit of later. So now for this boss, again, it's a simple concept of just, doing a sweep kick and then moving immediately. You do the sweep kick, you move back immediately. And you let her attack before you attack her again, definitely. You don't want to do it in the middle of her attack. If you get within a certain range, also she'll throw you as well, which does massive damage. So you got to be very careful. She has killed me before in some of my runs. She's kind of a pain in the ass, but it is a simple concept. Just, sweep kick and move, which is a similar thing you do with a lot of the bosses in this game, except for the tire guy. So now for this part, start off this round with a jump kick, and you'll take off the first. You'll take the first skateboarder off his skateboard if you do a jump kick immediately when the round starts. And you just want to take one of them off the skateboard, and then come up all the way to the top here and fight the remaining guys. And then you'll have two skateboarders down here that are left. You want to take another one off their skateboard, just one. But it's a pain in the ass because of the hit detection is shitty, as you can see. You got to be lined up just right. Now, I got one off with a regular kick, which I normally wouldn't do, but it worked. So once you get one of them off, you're going to go all the way up to the top, and you're going to fight the remaining enemies up here. And you can use some of those benches to kind of channel the enemies and utilize that positioning. So now we take the last one off, and you're just going to spam the sweep kicks most of the time. So there's going to be some more of these assholes. So yeah, now we're going to take one of the skateboarders off again, and then we're going to fight the enemies normally. Luckily, these guys don't have knives this time, so you don't have to worry about that right now. But they will come back later, I believe, if I remember right. Try to get the health if you can, whenever you can get them. So now we're going to take the last skateboarder off with a jump kick, and then, you go up here and just finish them. So now for this part, grab this trash can and throw it out of the stage. You want to throw it off screen if you can. I threw it a little early there, so now I got to deal with this fucking shit. But yeah, try to get that thing off the fucking screen, because I'm going to get hit by it probably. See, I think I got hit by it, even though it didn't look like it. But these enemies will relentlessly throw shit at you, so it's very hard to dodge. So really, you don't even want to let them pick that up because it does so much damage. Ideally, what I usually do is I pick up the trash can, throw it off screen immediately, and then I don't have to get hit by it. So I recommend as soon as you see that, pick it up and throw it off the screen. You pick it up the same way you pick up the hearts down in A. So now we're fighting the same exact boss again. I don't think there's any difference. So this game definitely reuses a lot of enemies. But she does massive damage. You see my health from getting hit once. So it's very dangerous. She will, after a certain amount of hits, she'll go down on the ground. See, she hit me again as I tried to walk past her. The best time to walk past her is when she goes down on the ground, when she falls down after several hits. But the problem this time was that I think I did my shitty fucking headbutt move instead of walking forward. Because, see, if you double tap the forward direction, in either direction, you're going to do a headbutt, which slows you down. I never try to headbutt. It's a super short range attack, and I never try to do it on purpose. But when you're trying to make small adjustments to your movement, it's very easy to do. So I think I die here. I got knifed, and see, I got knifed again off screen as soon as the guy appeared on screen. So this is going to remind me that there's going to be knife guys, because I didn't really remember everything until I saw it. So now I'm reminded that this is a bullshit stage. Now I think this is the semi-final stage. I actually thought there was another stage after this and then the final stage, but this is actually the semi-final stage, I believe. So we're getting close to the end of the game. So you want to go up and down like I said before, and let the guys throw the knife if you can. See, like that. Because once they throw the knife out, now you have a good chance of dealing with all this shit. But you want to make sure they throw it. So make sure you see, I would have got hit by that. I didn't lure the guy out, but I was on the other end of the screen, so I had enough time to react that time. But most of the times I won't be able to react to that when they're close. So my recommendation is, of course, just go up and down constantly and get them to throw. Now, with the karate guys that we're dealing with on this stage, the trick with them is still to do the trip kick shit. Now I found a choke point here where I just spam sweep kicks in this positioning behind this wall, and this is going to take out the first few enemies with minimal damage. So this is kind of like a free little thing I found that takes out at least the first two guys, maybe sometimes more, it just depends, but at least two guys will get taken out from that. So again, with the knife guys, go up and down for a while until they throw the knife. Don't start fighting anyone until you get them to throw the knife, because if you try to hit somebody, you're probably going to get stabbed. The knife will get thrown at you. Now, with these karate guys, it's a little bit different than dealing with the other guys. The trick with the karate guys is you got to make sure you're super close to them when you start trip kicking them, Because if you're about mid-range, they will demolish you with their attacks. So you got to be kind of mid-range, and you're probably going to get hit every once in a while. But, well, actually, I'm sorry, you don't want to be mid-range. You want to be really close to them when you trip them, which is a good habit in general with fighting these enemies. But you don't have to do it on the other enemies except for the karate guys. So when you're dealing with those fuckers, make sure that you get like point blank to them when you do your trip kicks, and you probably won't take too much damage. But you got to be aware of that. If you don't do that, you probably die. You probably won't beat the stage. So now these guys are super easy. 6 sweep kicks will take one out. And the reason it's good to know, like I said, the number of attacks to take an enemy out is because there's going to be one coming up behind you, obviously. So if these guys do sandwich you, they can kill you. Pretty much they'll combo you to death and you won't get out of it most likely. So, I'm cutting it close by fighting them, but I'm counting the amount of strikes so that I'm ready to turn around immediately after the 6th strike and attack the one on the other side. So just be careful with that. I mean, they're not hard really, but they can definitely destroy you. So now the final stage is actually very easy, and the final boss is very easy. So compared to the rest of the game, this shit is really easy. So what you're going to do is same thing with these guys again. 6 trip kicks will eliminate them. So you should have enough time to take one out before the other one gets to you. Now, like I said, I do have my controller set to rapid fire, so it means I can hold down and the kick button and just rapidly attack. But I got to be careful with that because I will do extra attacks sometimes, as you'll see. So it might be better not to even use turbo for this game. I mean, it's probably more precise. I just usually I fuck around with it when I can, when it's useful in a game, but just a habit. But it's not always the best thing to use. So that was the same fight we just did at the beginning here. So nothing special. Now these guys are annoying too, like the karate guys, but they're not as bad. So you don't really have to get super close to them. You're gonna probably take some hits doing this method. But the main thing is going to be just don't get sandwiched, and if you can, try to grab the hearts really fast. If you can, but you got to be good at doing it fast because it disappears so quick, and the enemies are always attacking you. So it's a pain in the ass to get them, but I got used to the positioning. I was picking them up pretty consistently. I would miss them though. So now here's the final boss, Mr. Big. It's a tiny guy with a big fucking gun. And the trick for this guy is to just, be be a little bit above or a little bit below him on a different plane. And he's going to come down, diagonally towards you. And all you're going to do is attack and then switch planes. Very simple. Attack, switch planes. That's it. And he'll probably won't even hit you, But just make sure he doesn't shoot you. That's what you got to watch out for. But he's easier than some of the other bosses, He's one of the easiest bosses in the game. So that's it. So now the game is beaten. And you get some kind of shitty ending where it justifies the game looping or something, where you get your ass kicked and then you gotta start the game over. I don't know if the second loop is harder, but I considered this beaten, because I got the ending and it just loops back to the beginning. Like a lot of old arcade games did. So at this point, you're done. So if you have any questions, let me know, and thanks for watching.